How long does it take you to get from home to your company? For me, it takes 5 hours and 200 kilometers. I commute from Beijing to Zhangjiakou in Hebei every day after work, traveling 400 kilometers and spending 6 hours on the road each day. I've maintained this cross-province commute for 3 years. In China's major cities, housing prices and rental costs are incredibly high. Many working people can't afford to rent in the town, so they choose to buy or rent homes in nearby cities instead. Surprisingly, commuting from outside the city can actually be more cost-effective. For example, many people who work in Beijing reside in nearby areas such as Yangjiao and Langfang in Hebei province. Similarly, people working in Shanghai often live in Kunshan or Huaqiao in Jiaxing. These long-distance commuters are often referred to as the dual-city tribe. Between Beijing and Tianjin alone, nearly 100,000 people live this dual-city life. Today, we're diving into the topic of cross-province commuting. Take, for example, the lifestyle of Wong Xiao Hua, a female blogger who resides in Hualai County, Zhangjiakou City, Hebei Province. Every day, she takes the high-speed train to work in Beijing's Chaoyang district and returns home the same way after work, a round trip of 238 kilometers, costing her about $13 a day. On her social media account, she shares a series of videos documenting the hardships of her daily cross-province commute. She leaves home at 6:50 a.m. with her husband driving her to the train station. They arrive at 7:05 and she boards the high-speed train at 7:15. The high-speed rail is like a silver sword, carrying a carriage full of commuters rubbing their eyes and rushing into Beijing. The high-speed train is about to arrive at the station. I walk to the number 8 carriage in advance, which means I can squeeze into the subway 3 minutes earlier than others. At 7:58, I arrived at the Beijing North Station. Many commuters were running to transfer to the subway. Everyone was running for their lives. I started to squeeze into the subway at 8:02, and I'll show you how Beijing's morning rush hour is. I'm used to switching quickly every day. I first transferred to Line 2, which is relatively crowded. I arrived at Jishui Tan at 8:10 and then moved to Line 19. I was familiar with waiting for the train at a fixed door, which car was closest to the escalator, and which exit was the least detour. These survival tips were all honed over more than 700 days of experience. Then she changed to Line 12 and finally arrived at the company at 8:54. She spent almost 2 hours on the road. After getting off work at 6 p.m., she rushed to the subway station again. It was not until after 8 p.m. that she returned home. She repeated this life every day. Wong Xiao Hua said in the video that she chose to commute across provinces, but only she could understand the hardship and sadness. I still remember when I first started commuting. I could have the best of both worlds by saving on rent, but reality slapped me in the face. I worked overtime until late at night and missed the last train. I had to change my high-speed train 3 times because of a meeting. Those moments of collapse make me sad to think about now. She said that although she was a little tired, she felt that she had found a balance point with her family after getting home from work every day. Some netizens said they could not accept such a desperate working life. Every day I lived like a clockwork puppet. Okay family, it's time to commute again. Today is another day of commuting. I left home at 6:25 and headed to the high-speed rail station. On the way to the high-speed rail station, I chatted with the driver and asked, "Brother, what time do you start work every morning?" The driver said that he starts driving at around 5 o'clock every morning and works until about 10 p.m. I roughly calculated that the basic working hours every day are more than 15 hours. Adhering to the principle of more work, more pay, it stands to reason that he should earn more than $1,000 a month with such hard work, right? When asked about his income, the driver helplessly replied that being older, he does not use many programs and has always relied on Didi to receive orders. So he earns only $630 a month. Hearing this, I feel as if everyone is struggling hard for life. Bad news for the interprovincial commuters. Recently, I heard that the G553 high-speed train, which departs from Beijing at 1850, will no longer stop at Zhuozhou East Station. Going home will be a real problem. Do you know how many people commute from Hebei to Beijing every day? The suspension of the train has affected many commuters' plans to get to work. I take the 804 high-speed train to Beijing for work every morning and take the G553 train at 6:50 p.m. to return to Zhuozhou. However, However, recently, people around me have been saying that after July 1st, this train will no longer stop at Zhuozhou East Station, which means that my commute has become even worse. Without the high-speed train, commuters will have to adjust their routes, whether by carpooling or taking the bus, and their commuting time will be longer than that of the high-speed train. Many people would say that it's incredibly challenging and you can earn a substantial amount of money in a month, right? In fact, everyone's salary is not high. I have a person who commutes from Langfang to Beijing. He comes to Beijing every day to work, applying mobile phone screen protectors for customers. His income is not very high, and he commutes for at least 5 hours a day. There is also a friend who comes to Beijing from Tianjin to work at 5 o'clock every morning. To avoid the morning rush hour in Beijing, he chooses to get up at 5 a.m. To sleep more, he puts on makeup on the high-speed train. Even so, each of us insists on our commuting track, and no one gives up. Why would I, a person from Zhangjiakou in Hebei, choose to work 200 kilometers away in Beijing? A salary of $700 or $1,400 if it were you, how would you choose? For me, it's a no-brainer. I'd pick the higher one. So every day I have to wake up at 5:30 a.m., leave home before 6 a.m., and head to Beijing for work. A 3-hour commute each way. Some people say I'm crazy for doing this. At 5:56 a.m., I step out from the south gate of my neighborhood, and already students are waiting at the bus stop. At 5:28, I turn right onto the Donghuan Road, and the sight that I see most often is the taxis, endless taxis. By 6:11, I'm passing through this intersection, entering Zhangjiakou's economic development zone. Many people are already on their way to work. By 6:15, I've arrived at Zhangjiakou Station's underground parking lot. It costs $0.25 for an hour of parking here. At 6:16, I start walking to the North Square. By 6:20, there are already plenty of people there, even earlier than me. We're catching the 6722 bullet train to Beijing. At 6:22, we're in line for security checks. Everyone's rushing, trying to make sure they don't miss the train. The blogger said that he was just one of the many people who moved to Beijing, but there were not many people who had to commute for 6 hours every day. He clocked in at 8:30, and it was another fulfilling day. Today, I took the high-speed train from Zhangjiakou to Beijing for work, and I heard snoring all the way. Recently, I changed my wake-up time from 5:30 to 5:40, and I am still very sleepy every day. I am still groggy when I wash my face and go downstairs. In fact, on the way to the high-speed rail station at 6 o'clock every morning, you can see many people who get up early. When I went downstairs yesterday, a man who had just returned from running asked me if I was the one who had gone to work in Beijing. I said yes. I asked him what time he got up to run every day. He said that he couldn't sleep every day due to insomnia, so he got up at 4 a.m. Now I want to sleep, but I don't have time, while others have time but can't sleep. How great would it be if we could switch? There were a lot of cars on the way to the high-speed rail station today. I got off the train 5 minutes later than usual. It was already 6:30 in the morning when I parked my car at the high-speed rail station. It's ridiculous to worry about these few minutes every morning. If one day the high-speed rail can be like the subway, you can get on the train anytime and anywhere. How convenient it would be. I commute across provinces and ride a motorcycle from my workplace in Beijing back to my home in Hebei. After getting off work at 7:30 p.m., I turn off all the equipment in the store, take off my work clothes, and change into my clothes. Every time I take off my work clothes after getting off work, I actually leave the fatigue of the day's work at the workplace and go home to relax. My husband gets off work at 8 o'clock. It takes about 20 minutes to ride from his workplace to my place. I have to wait for him in the store for 20 minutes and then go home together. If he is not busy, he can arrive at the workplace door on time. I clocked out at 8:20, waited for him on the roadside, took my helmet, and went home. When I passed the traffic light, I saw him waiting for me, got on the motorcycle, and started on the way home. It's 8:30 now. The night in Beijing is beautiful, but also very busy. Many people are waiting for the bus or carpooling to go home on the side of the road. After passing this checkpoint in Beijing, you will reach Hebei. For convenience, many people, like us, commute by motorcycle. After crossing this bridge, you can see the night vehicle in Hebei, which is also full of lights. I arrived at 9:10 and travel back and forth between Hebei and Beijing every day. Do you want to ask if I'm tired? I want to say that there is never a shortage of people returning late in the city late at night, but everyone who returns late has a common reason: life. The challenge of the longest cross-province commute on the internet. Only a salary of 7,000 a month would make this daily commute worth it. That's the most common comment I get. Some even say they'd rather pay to avoid commuting. But in reality, countless people wake up early and return late every day, commuting long hours. Every morning, at least 5 high-speed trains run from Jiaozhou to Beijing, and each one is packed. However, the truth is that only a few people actually earn high salaries from this grind. This year marks my 3rd year of commuting. Every day I travel from Jiaozhou in Hebei to Beijing. It takes me a total of 160 kilometers and 4 hours just to get home. Some people ask me, what motivates me to keep commuting? The answer is simple. This is life. The job market right now isn't great, and there are plenty of people struggling to find work, or can't find a job at all. Compared to that, having a stable job and a steady paycheck every month is already enough to make me feel grateful. Step by step, that's how you move forward and build a lasting future. How much does a migrant nurse who earns 5 figures a month spend on a cross-provincial commute? Good morning, sisters. Today is another workday. Today is Monday, so there'll definitely be traffic jams. My car broke down yesterday, so I shared a car to go to work today. It cost $3 per person to share a car from Hebei to Beijing. I didn't have time to make breakfast at home today. I got up at 5:47, got dressed, and hurried out. I just passed the checkpoint. When I saw these cars, my heart was panicked. Fortunately, the driver took a shortcut and didn't have to wait in line for a long time. I fell asleep after getting on the highway. I slept for 10 minutes and arrived at the Beijing subway station. Finally, got off the train and took the subway. Today, I took my colleague's electric car. I went to buy 2 breakfasts, 2 teriyaki chicken legs, and 2 chestnut soy milks. I ate breakfast before my colleague arrived. Otherwise, I would not have had time to eat breakfast when I arrived at the office. I ate and waited like this, and I almost finished my pancake, but he still didn't come. I was worried that I would be late. He came and took the tram. Is there anyone who enjoys taking the tram as much as I do? I arrived at the office at 7:35. Fortunately, I was not late. I commute from Hebei to Beijing every day, covering a 322-kilometer round trip. How does it feel not to be understood? At 6:45, I took an online taxi to the high-speed rail station, and my commuting journey began from this moment. Someone told me that you commute like this every day. Are you crazy? It's better to find a job in a small county town with a salary of $1,000 than to work in Beijing. At first, I would have been furious and gone back, but now I understand that not being understood is the normal state of living in this world. I commute across provinces, squeezing into the Beijing morning and evening rush hour subway, and the round-trip journey takes 6 hours. But it's on the days when I am not understood that I know I want more clearly. The city of Beijing is like a never-stopping engine, pushing me forward desperately. I must work hard, earn money, and improve myself. But to be honest, there are times when I can't hold on any longer. That day, I was just 1 minute away from catching the last train at the high-speed rail station, and suddenly I wondered why I should stay in Beijing. I didn't come to Beijing for any damn success, but just give myself a chance to fight for what I really want in my heart. Even if I fail in the end, at least I have tried and fought hard, and that's enough. I earn $2,100 a month working in Shanghai. Because houses in Shanghai are more expensive, I moved to Suzhou 5 years ago and started a dual-city life, commuting from Suzhou to Shanghai for work every day and then returning to Shanghai from Suzhou after work. A few days ago, I took a week off and returned to my hometown, Hergong. It was very cool. When I came back to work, it was summer solstice in the south. It was extremely hot, with temperatures consistently over 30 degrees every day. I commute for 3 hours every day. As soon as I get to the company, I am soaked from head to toe. My good friend was also laid off. He has an annual salary of $140,000. He graduated from the Beijing Institute of Technology with both a bachelor's and master's degree. He has worked as a programmer in a large internet company in Beijing for 6 years. His performance is A every year. In our eyes, he has always been a role model at work. We never thought that these 2 words would be associated with him. My friend said that as soon as he arrived at the company, the leader interviewed him and the contract would not be renewed when it expired. The incident happened suddenly. Now he's confused and can't control his anxiety. He asked us what to do next. Recently, I have seen many news about top students being laid off on the internet. It's not necessarily related to personal ability. The market is currently somewhat subdued. Many companies can only save expenses in this way, which is also a helpless act. That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.